Hi, this is Oliver Caminos, broker of St. Germain Properties. So if you're relocating to our market or maybe buying a second home on the beach here, you might have some questions about flood insurance. I hope this video will be a good primer for you. When you go to buy your home, however, we're going to request that you specifically review your situation with a licensed insurance agent. And if you don't have one, we can recommend some great agents to you. So let's start off with a review of the different flood zone. Flood zone X is the low risk, means that area really hasn't flooded in at least 100 to 500 years, and you aren't required to get flood insurance here if you're financing. If you do want to purchase flood insurance, it's relatively inexpensive in these areas. The most common flood zone you'll see here is flood zone AE. That means you're at a high risk of flooding. It's flooded in the last 100 years, and it also means that FEMA knows the highest level of flooding, the flood elevation. So you're going to be required to get flood insurance here if you are financing. It's not too expensive, especially if your first floor living area is above the highest level of flooding in the area. If you're paying cash, you don't need flood insurance, although we highly advise you get it. Very importantly, and I want you to listen to this, if you are paying cash, your flood policy, and you buy a new policy, it's not in effect for the first 30 days. For this reason, we'll often transfer the existing policy from the seller to you, the buyer. You'll sometimes see flood zone V, this a B is a boy. This is the flood zone usually caused by shallow ponds that overflow. It's a shallow flooding area. You probably will need flood insurance, but it's very inexpensive there as well. And then the big one is flood zone V, that like wave action, V as in Victor. That's when you're in the direct path of the storm surge, usually along the beaches or the large inlets. You're gonna definitely need flood insurance here if you're financing, and you'd be crazy not to have it even if you're not financing. Here, the flood insurance is significantly higher in cost, especially if your first floor living area is below the highest flood elevation. So the flood elevation is determined in the elevation certificate. That's when a surveyor goes out and surveys that home, and it'll show the home, especially the first floor area, in relation to the highest known flood level there. Your costs for flood insurance are going to be usually for flood zone AE about $500 to $800, $900. It can be a little higher in certain areas, but usually it's between there. So long as your first floor living area, again, is above the flood elevation. If you're in a flood zone V as in Victor, it's going to be significantly higher, in the thousands of dollars per year. And what does flood insurance cover? It covers $250,000 of building electrical systems, your HVAC, whatever is in there that gets damaged from a flood. It does not cover contents below the floodplain. So if you're in an elevated home and you're storing your golf clubs and things down there, those items will not be covered, although you can buy a rider to cover those items if you are going to do that. And also, flood coverage is in effect when it's truly a bona fide flood. So for example, if you have a sewer that backs up, and that sewer backup was not caused by a flood and it was only in your home, that's not going to be covered in flood insurance, although it'll probably be picked up by your homeowner's insurance. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, give me a call, or I can put you in touch with some great agents, insurance agents to review. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.